Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite warlock, practicing necromancer. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about your workings, your daily workings. And especially within the field of unity. Now, let me kind of just do a little backdrop here. Over the years, I've had so many people come to me. They want to sell their soul to the devil, to Satan. They want vengeance spells done, such as curses and hexes, but yet they don't have a clue the different degrees from what a jinx is compared to a hex or to a curse. They want protection, but yet they don't know the basics of what these things are. Even on social media platforms, you see so many people going, well, I'm looking for a mate. I'm looking for a girlfriend, or I'm looking for a wife, I'm looking for a husband. But yet at the same time, it's that duality. You got so many things in the world that people want. It's all materialistic. And that's all it is materialistic. It's a thing to keep you distracted. It is something to keep you away from achieving your goals. Look at Dark Psychology, Manipulation by William Cooper. Prime example, he laid this out very, very well from a corporate perspective of how they deal with their employees, both through praise but also slander. Prime example. Very, very well written book, and spoke to me personally, I might add. So, this week I've been focusing on the Book of Meditations by Markus Aurelius. And there's a few chapters in here that really have spoken to me over the last few days. And it's ironic because when you look at the things that you do to accomplish, you do it without distractions, but yet a lot of people do it like it's a religion. It's basically, the best way to put it in this term is, if you remember back in I want to say the early 2000s, the first Matrix movie. Prime example. What was it that Morpheus said about humans? You become equal to a battery. You are the AI. You have become the AI. You become that energy source, not the individual, not separated from the machine. So I want you to look at it like this. When you go into any religion, it is not about how someone else views your path. Okay? No one gets to dictate how you approach a spirit, be it the Loa, the Orisha, the Devi, demons, angels, the jinn, or even the old pagan gods. These are all aspects of the main source, and that's all it is. It doesn't matter if you're right hand or left hand path. But I always ask people when they come to me, what makes you think that Satan wants your soul? Why would he want your soul? Is working with a spirit not like working with your wife, your husband? I want you to think about that earnestly. Think of it like this. If a man is working 12 hours a day fighting battles, What makes you think, as a woman, that he wants to come home to a place that's supposed to be about serenity and have to fight another battle? Now, I want you to flip that around. Guys, think about what women think about. What type of things that they have to go through throughout the chemicals that make them go crazy from time to time. I want you to think about this. If she's a stay-at-home mom, what is it that she needs? Okay. Does she need somebody to listen to her? You know, perhaps ask her, you know, how have her days been? Think about it like this. Take her out for dinner. You know, if you have kids, you know, hire a babysitter for a couple of hours. Take her out to dinner. Take her out to a movie. You know, take her to the beach. You know, when my son's mother and I first got together, I thought she was weird. I mean, literally weird. You know, I mean, what kind of woman wants to dance in a thunderstorm in a parking lot at night? You know what I'm saying? That was something that she did. And to this day, even though I'm not with her anymore, it still cracks me up. It's one of those memories that we both shared together. Okay? Now, think about it this way. Society today wants you to think that you can have your cake and eat it too. So if you're working 70, 100 hours a week, or even more than that, some of the rich would work 170 hours a week, 7 days a week. They would work 7 days a week. They have all the money in the world, right? But if you want a common goal with someone, and I'm saying this loosely, let's say, for an example, you and your wife or your girlfriend want to have a home. What makes you think that it's okay to work against somebody? Think about that. One of the things that I've experienced in the past is I've had a partner that worked against me. You know, she would spend her money, drain me and my sons. You know what I'm saying? She would drain my account. While I'm trying to maintain a roof over our heads, make sure that there's food on the table, and so forth. That does nobody any good if you're looking to save up, buy a home, get out of debt, and everything in between. Okay? Now, corporations are the same way. They want a meat sack on the floor 24/7. They don't give a shit if you drop dead on the floor. Think about that. They don't give a shit about you because it's my store, my product, my bonus. Their salary. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a shit if you're sick. They don't care, period. Just like the governments of the world. They wage war. They don't listen to the people of their countries. It's not, they forget, for an example, let's do just the American. Now, all these officials from the Senate, Republic, liberals, even the president, vice president, they are elected by the people for the people. So why is it that people aren't standing up for their rights? Their rights are being taken from them left and right. Correct? The amendments are being rewritten. They're being manipulated and used. And who pays the price? The average citizen. Now, I want you to think about this from a relationship perspective. If you were working together for the same cause, to raise a family, you wouldn't commit fidelity. because that would end that relationship. You wouldn't want to work against your partner because that would defeat the purpose of achieving your goals. Now, if you want to make a country great, then the government and the people should be on the same page, right? So if we're talking spirituality, why would you sell your soul to the devil? Why would you sell your soul to any entity, spirit, or God? Wouldn't it be more fruitful if you worked with that spirit? Make a pact with that spirit. Write it down. Go out there and go, you know what? I'm going to send a copy to you to have. For an example, work with Lucifer's Raphael, the infernal scribe and pact maker. Even if you work with just a regular deity, let's go with Mephistopheles, for an example, who's a well-known trickster. If you define your words specifically and well written, you both benefit. Correct? So, you're not selling your soul for a piece of the pie. You are aligning yourself with that being or with that current, that system of spirits, to benefit the spirits in this world, and they are going to benefit you through knowledge, wisdom, and self-mastery. How do you define apotheosis compared to gnosis? In Hermetism, gnosis means hidden, that which is hidden from you. So for you to wake up, you need to pull that veil back, that load of BS and that crock that the world is forcing down your throat. They're telling you how to dress, how to think, how to be you. You get into a relationship with the opposite sex or same sex, doesn't matter, I don't judge. Then what makes you think that it's okay to tell that person, hey, don't do that. Don't say that. Not going to work. All you're going to do is commit friction between you. Right? So, if you align yourself by removing that veil, work on bettering yourself, work on bettering your path, you're going to benefit. They're going to show you the path. They're going to show you the knowledge. Gnosis is just simply that which is hidden, that you've got to discover. You've got to learn. You've got to be the one to master. And, in the book of Meditations, under, what is it? I want to say, it was chapter 4. Let me get to that real fast. There we go. Just hold on for just a minute. I got to find it. Chapter 3. We ought to observe also that even the things which follow after the things which are produced according to nature contain something pleasing and attractive. For instance, when bread is baked, some parts are split at the surface, and these parts which thus open and have a certain fashion contrary to the purpose of the baker's art are beautiful in a manner and in a particular way excite a desire for eating. Okay? Think about that one little phrase. Now, what is it about working with demons that attracts you, that you find beautiful? What is it that about your spouse, your job that attracts you? What was it that called you to that? Was it the wisdom, the knowledge, the art itself? Think about it. So, like Michelangelo, who sculpted a pleasing sculpture, okay? People saw it just as a block of clay, something ugly, but he saw a statue. All he said was, I just chipped away the little bits to reveal its true nature. Now, if you go into IV, number 2, it says, let no act be done without a purpose, nor otherwise than according to the perfect principles of art. Wow. Amazing, right? So, I want you to think about everything that you do in a run of a day. Are you in alignment with the spirits, with your soul? Let's say your 3 bodies, mind, body, spirit, as Andrew Womack would call it. How about you, your spouse, and your children? Are you prospering together? If you've made a pact with a demon, are you working for the common goals? Are you benefiting from working with them? So again, why would you sell your soul? What makes you think that they want your soul? Now think about apotheosis. Apotheosis is about self-mastery, self-evolution. It is about you working daily to become a better version of yourself. It's not about who you were yesterday or who you are today. It's about who you want to be tomorrow. Okay? If you look at my channel over the last year, you will notice that I have shared books. I have shared videos on politics, on various different religions. I have shown you videos on the war of the sexes, if you will. You know, this whole thing on feminism, things that modern women are doing that is a complete turnoff to a man, compared to things that are a complete turnoff for a woman that a man does. Now, think about if you put all that shit away and you work to better yourselves together. Get rid of the drama. Get rid of the stupidity. I've shown you how the world keeps you occupied with materialistic gains. You can have this, but I'm going to take from over here. Think about it. Think about that for just a moment. If you do anything from spiritualism to physical constructs to corporations, if you're not working together, is that not the blind leading the blind? Think about it. Is it not the blind leading the blind to ruin, not to fruition? So, the things that are attractive to a woman would be a man who talks slow, moves slow. A man that can enter a room and his body language says 1,000 words without even having to speak. A man who learns some form of discipline, such as martial arts, perhaps the military. A man that can take care of himself can definitely take care of his family, provide for them even. Now think about it this way. If you're a Christian And I've heard a few Christians actually say this. What is it that attracts you to that religion? You have a year of being solitary, a year for dating, a year for marriage, 2 years that is going to be a test and trial. And then you're going to have that time where you're working with a partner. That's a marriage, right? That's a time when you meet somebody, you get to know them. Gives a great time period to do so. Now think about it like this. When you work with a spirit, are you going to do it with a rod of power and condemn that spirit if they don't answer you? Are you going to threaten that spirit with eternal damnation if they don't appear to you? Or would you rather learn how to summon them through evocation? Get to know them and work with them with honor, integrity, and respect? Are you going to put the work in to achieve the things that you wanted to achieve in this world through desires, through the pleasures, if you will? What kind of example do you want to be for future generations? Are you going to sit there and be ignorant, arrogant, prideful, egotistical, and go, well, I'm a Christian, therefore I'm superior to you as a Satanist? My heel to your head? Are you going to wage war constantly because you got a jealous God that wants to conquer everything? Kill off what it can't control? Or do you want to get to know and work with a spirit, with that, your neighbor, with your partner, and actually build a routine together? Do you want to build something great with that person or with that spirit? Do you know what the definition of a cabal is? It's a brotherhood. Do you know what a definition of a coven is? A brotherhood. It's like-minded individuals coming together for common goals. They live and breathe the same creed that they have applied themselves to. Now think of a marriage. Is that not the same thing? Is that not the same thing as being loyal to each other? If you're working for the same goals, why is there hostility? Why is there friction? You might want to reflect if there is. More so, you want to look at the older the works, because the older the works are going to reveal things that the modern day is not going to reveal to you. They're not going to allow you to use your words. They're not going to allow you to speak freely, even though you got the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech, not just freedom of religion. Cops will tell you, you don't have the right to video us. Bullshit. First Amendment says we do. You have a right to lie to us, but what, we can't lie to you? And then you bitch because we have what is called the Fifth Amendment, which means we have the right to remain silent. How about the Fourth Amendment? This says we don't have to help you with your investigation. You want to know why the people are hostile to the government? That's why. You lie, you cheat, commit scams and fraud, you try to corrupt things. Just like a marriage, just like a religion. It starts off good, it looks pretty on the surface, but over time, if it's not maintained, it becomes corroded. It breaks down from the inside out. And before you know it, you're just another sheep being led by the blind to damnation and ruination. You know, I've been reading, in between reading meditations. I've also been reading Grim Begins. This is a journey from the 80s, back during the Cold War, about responsibility and accountability, about the journey from being a sheep to being honorable, having faith in yourself, such as the Grim Prayers. This is my new book, by the way, the Grim Prayers. It came in about a couple of days ago, and I had a chance to look through it, and I'm looking forward to getting into it. So, on top of reading these other two books this week, I'm reading 40 books this year. That's my goal, and I'm sticking to it. That's one book per week that I'm reading. That's 4 books per month. That's 40 books per year. Read well, read wide, inspire yourself and grow through knowledge and wisdom. Trust me on this. When you reflect upon your life, upon your service to the community, when you look at how you approach your deities, your ancestors, no matter what religion, you're not going to sell your soul for materialistic things. You're going to want to grow. You're going to want to mature. You're going to want to become better. You want to evolve into something more. And the thing is, over the last couple of years, since my son's mother and I separated, I've really delved into spiritual matters. I've delved into knowledge and started getting into doing things myself, such as investing, learning about the stock markets. I started learning about my own personal rights. I started looking out for my family. I started doing what is called compacting. And you know what? Since I started doing that, I paid my car off 10 months early. I eliminated my own debt in less time than most people do. I haven't missed a payment. In fact, I've added every month. I've limited myself on a lot of different topics, a lot of different aspects. And the funny thing is now I'm teaching my son's mother how to do this, which is awesome. She wants to get her car paid off by December. She and I were talking about it, and I told her, I said, now that I don't have my payment, I can do this. Okay? You keep doing what you do. Within 3 to 6 months, your car is going to be paid off. She owes like just under $4,000. I think it's like 3,700, I think. I think it's like 3,750, I think it is, that she still owes on that car. Now think about this. If she's paying $350 a month, and she does this for 3 to 6 months, imagine what I'm doing by adding 300 to 400 and setting that aside. And then all of a sudden, one large payment at the end. Between her and I, we had a debt of $3,600 to $3,700. 37 grand. We're now down to under $4,000 in 4 years. Wow. Now think about that for just a minute. That's just what a little education can do. When you choose to get into a routine and keep that routine. I was talking with a friend of mine last night, or the night before rather, I should say. And she's getting into a gym. And I told her, I said, you'd be better off, doing it yourself instead of relying on someone else. And she asked why. I said, think about it. Who's going to work out? You or that person that you're relying on? Who's going to educate you? You or someone else? Because there's a difference between education and teaching. There's a difference between creation and thinking about it. There's a huge difference between wanting a family and creating it. Think and Grow Rich. Great book. Teaches you to use your imagination, because if you can think it, you can find ways to make it happen. Wow. Okay. You want to talk about seeing how computers and technology is overriding your natural instincts and dulling your mind? Get into 1984. Get into the soul individual. The what is it called? Not the soul individual, but the seldom individual. Very, very good book. Teaches you everything you need to know about your instincts compared to the technology and what it's done for you over the last 40 to 50 years. You want to learn about money and finance? Get into the book. Well, technically, it's a pamphlet, in my opinion. It's called Modern Money Mechanics, and it's by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. Out of all the books that I've read on finances, that is the one that taught me the most about finances. You want to learn the difference between assets and liabilities? Get into Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Okay? You want to learn about the making a deal? Get into The Art of Making a Deal by Donald Trump. How about The Art of the Comeback? Because we all get knocked down from time to time. We all have those setbacks. But how do you get up and move on if you don't study what caused that downfall? Why is it that so many people today go from religion to religion to religion, and nobody takes the time to understand, what am I truly seeking? What do I want in life? You see, I want to tell you a little story. I spent years alone. Years. I've lost friends. I've lost coworkers. I've been betrayed left and right. I've lived on the streets in 2 major cities in 47 years. Okay? I met 2 men that changed my world. And it was that perspective, because I made that vow that if I ever became a father, I would not abandon my kid. I would not abandon my kid. It doesn't matter if my child's mother and I are together or we're separated. I will always be there for that child or those children. Okay? In my case, just one child. But here it is. I've lived up to that. And you know what's funny? Is all the times I fought for a girlfriend over the years, the fact that I've had 4 failed relationships in my life, I look at it today, I'm not just helping my son's mother build her life. I'm there for my son as well. And on top of that, I'm helping out somebody else as well with what this individual is going through. I've got people looking at the way I interact with my child. That's something that is attractive. Like a baker's bread. When you look at somebody who's truly dedicated to their spiritual practice, you look at the routines that they're in. You look at how they approach rituals, how they dedicated themselves and committed themselves to that path, to those workings, to the communions of that specific pantheon. That's attractive because it shows loyalty, shows honor, shows trust, mutual respect, just like a marriage. But yet, you look at the world and how it's gone to shit today because it's do as I say and not as I do. Why is it that the first class remain in power, second class has to work their ass off, and more people are becoming homeless, jobless? Companies claim that they want employees, but yet they're not going to hire you, and they play these games. I was talking with a girl just last night. I said, I find it interesting how retail is the second highest turnover. Has retail and things like fast food joints, retail, grocery stores, shopping malls, stores such as that is the second highest turnover rate in the United States alone, outside of security. I mean, you consider security as like 150 to 300% turnover rate. You're looking at 50 to 150% just in retail alone. You claim things are working. That's blind leading the blind because people are accepting things at face value. Go out and do your own homework. Look at the facts. Look at it as a third party. Reflect upon it. But in the end of the day, it is you and you alone that's got to dictate and discern, what do I truly want in this life? What makes me me? What is it about this religion, this spiritual working? What is it about these particular entities that attract me? And what do I want to gain by working with them? Forging that relationship, that friendship with them. Am I willing to do things for them in return for them doing stuff in my, opening the doors for me in this world? This is stuff that you got to discern. If you're going for a relationship with a partner, what are you willing to put into it? Are you willing to work with that person to achieve victory on your goals and your desires? Or are you just going to make it about me, me, me? Do you know how many times I've listened to people over the years? Oh, this person told me no, so I want to curse them. Oh, they took my kids. Wow. So, was it them that took your kids, or was it the court system that said you were unfit to be a parent? That ruled that the other person, be it male or female, ended up with sole custody? Look at the bigger picture. Use your mind. That's the greatest tool you'll ever have. And that's what they're trying to dub down. So when you look at unity and your workings, I want you to think about all of this. It doesn't matter if it's religion. It doesn't matter if it's political. It doesn't matter if it's corporate or even through relationships, be it friendships or dating. Are you willing to be in unison with that person or with those beings? Are you willing to work with them? Are you willing to do what is necessary to achieve victory in your goals, your aims? Again, you're the only one who's capable of identifying this, to making that decision. This is why I always try to give you 2 sets of rules to live by as an educator, not just as a minister, not just as a spiritual advisor, not just as a necromancer or a black magician. I try to teach you and tell you that whatever you preach, back it up with numerous sources. It shows that you know what you're talking about. That is something that people can respect. Also, always make yourself available to the public, because you're not just responsible for the things that you do and say as an emissary of the spirits, the entities, the demons, and the gods that you work with as their ambassador, but you also are held accountable by the people. You are held accountable. Education and apotheosis is the best way to go. The best way to go. It's not what you think apotheosis is. It's about what true apotheosis is within the form of self-mastery, self-evolution, and self-empowerment. You are working to become better. This doesn't take place overnight. It takes place over years. It takes place over decades. And possibly even lifetimes, depending on the individual. Especially if you believe in reincarnation. So, with that said, let me see here. Patrice, she a grub, 3501, welcome to the channel. John Simpson, welcome to the channel. Amy Brennigan, 176, welcome to the channel. I believe this is the first time I've seen you here. And Nega Creed, welcome back. So, like I said, people are going to love you and they're going to hate you. And when you start speaking the truth and you start speaking, from your experience, from the things that you know, and you back it up with numerous sources, people are going to hate you even more. So you're going to find yourself not just as a left-hand path practitioner, or even a right-hand path practitioner. You've seen them. I've seen them both sides of the line being solitary, hated even. But hey, that's life, right? So take it with a grain of salt, and better yourself. Do your homework. Back it up. Put it to use. All right? With that said, I'm out. If you like what I do, feel free to hit that subscribe button, that notification button. And have a good day or a good night wherever you are in the world. And I will see you on the next video. All right. Have a good one.